And welcome to the Game On Expert Interviews. I am Jean Barry. I am your Game Inventor Mentor, and I assist coaches and consultants in growing their business with more fun and money. So I'm really excited today because I have an extraordinary guest today. It is Michelle Demers, and for the past 20 years, Michelle has been a coach and business strategist for other coaches, consultants, experts, and service providers specializing in online group coaching, courses, communities, and recurring revenue membership programs. She's an expert in success science, including productivity, goal achievement, accountability, and her clients get amazing results. I've been in Michelle's program. She does incredible things, and she has culminated all her work into the creation of what is called the Power of 15 method and clubs. She teaches people how to achieve their goals in as little as 15 minutes a day and supports them in taking daily actions on coaching, accountability, and peer support. This fall, she is going to be launching a very new club. She does a lot of productivity clubs and a lot of clubs to help businesses create a goal finish a goal at the end. But she's now also launching the Conscious Health Club, which is helping people become their healthiest selves by getting back to the basics and practical steps, as well as accessing the community support through their own health and healing powers. So I am thrilled to have Michelle here with us today. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. You know that we can talk for absolute hours, and we have.
We can, friends, colleagues, yeah.
Hang on, I clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on. There we go. I have Facebook pops up on my screen, and then I want to make sure that I'm not talking over myself. Beautiful. I want to pull up the comments. We have a few people hopping on already. Yay, welcome. So glad that you're all here. And I know that you're going to get tons of value out of this conversation today because Michelle truly is an expert at getting stuff done and helping people actually achieve their goals. So here's what I want to ask you about first. Actually, I want to ask you first about the Power of 15 itself, because this is, as an expert and studier of productivity and success and that kind of thing. And I think a lot of our people who come on will kind of relate to this idea of study of success and how do you make it work, right? How do you make things happen in your world, especially in your business? So can you tell us a little bit about the Power of 15 and where did that come from?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Being in the coaching industry for 20 years, and I've been mostly on the business side, helping other coaches, consultants with their businesses. One thing that always struck me was that people struggle to implement in between the coaching calls, and also online courses that so many of us take, and as service providers that so many of us give. We see that the participation and implementation and actual folks getting results is really low across the board for most people, just because it's the nature of the beast of being online these days and people having very busy lives. And what I learned was that clients not only need the content of here's what you do and how you do it, they need a process. They need the accountability. And so I was looking to create a membership style site and program. And at first I was thinking it was going to be content. It was just going to be training. And then I thought, everybody does these training memberships. And what people really need is the help, support, and implementation to do it. And I took a program which really taught, it's basically the tortoise versus the hare. I'm teaching people to be the tortoise. If you can invest a minimum of 15 minutes a day, and sometimes that's all people can do, right? On your most important goal, which actually in my club we call the WIG, the wildly important goal. I took that from the Covey Institute. That's actually a term they coined, but we use it in the club. And if you can commit a minimum of 15 minutes a day on your goal, it's amazing how much you can chip away at it. And I teach people how to maximize that 15 minutes. So how can you get 30 minutes or more of work in that 15 minutes? And if you can do more, great. Because part of the challenge for people is making time for the important things in their busy lives. And they also struggle with systems and some of those time management techniques. So I was able to merge the success science, all of that falls under that umbrella of success science. I was able to merge that with, here's the content, here's the actual what you need to be working on, and here's how you can work on it. And that combo platter is what has actually helped people to complete the trainings and actually implement the content to get the results that they're looking for. So it really is more of an implementation-based program and helping people take those small daily steps, build those habits, and then that translates into everything in life. So they're learning how to do this on whichever project or goal that they have. But now that they're seeing the process, they can apply that whole Power 15 methodology to anything in their life. Cleaning the house, paying the bills, exercise. So it becomes almost like a way of life.
Well, and of course, I've been inside of your clubs. I've known you for some time, and we've done a lot of cool and interesting things together. And it's not then, in the end, just about the methodology. It's also about the community that you build around that, and the success communities that show up inside there as well and support each other. And that's part of the whole program as well, is saying, how do you actually not just be yourself, especially now that we're all home.
Right.
So if you are watching today, and I'm curious if you have any trouble, like if there's some things in your world that don't get done. Like, what are the things, we all have the things we're like, oh, I get those things done. There's those things. But then there's those ones that you never quite get to. And I'm curious if any of you have any of those things, the ones that, I do all these things, but maybe I don't pay attention to my health. Or I do all these things and I don't ever quite be consistent in my business with my marketing. Or I do all these things, but I don't, I don't, feed myself well. Or I don't nurture my relationships with other people. Like, what is that thing that just doesn't get done in your world? Because I think everyone has one, and I'm kind of curious if there's any one of those. So you can share those with us if you're watching. Also, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to add those into the chat, type chat. And welcome Beth from Dublin, it's late there now, I know. Joanne, Lois, so glad you guys are all here today. And I'm really excited about not just your methodology, because that is incredibly unique. It is a whole package that really allows you to step into each one of those things. It's also the clubs themselves. Yeah. And so I know they really morphed over time, and you figured out what works inside of membership clubs. And I know there's tons and tons of people who would love to have a membership club, and they're like, yeah, but no one shows up, or there's no engagement. So let's ask, first, just give me your basics about clubs. Like, what do you want to talk about clubs? And then I'm going to dig in a little deeper about some of the things that people ask me about clubs, and are like, what are we doing around all this? So.
Sure. Well, I know a lot of your audience are the coaches, consultants, change agents, service providers, whatever people like to call themselves. You have clients who are running programs and are thinking about, how do I help my clients get results? How do I help my client use my content? How do I get that engagement and relationship with the clients? So from that perspective, I want to talk to that perspective now, wearing your business hat as opposed to your participant hat, where you might be thinking of, how do I get my own stuff done? Let me just preface in explaining how the clubs work with the idea that if you are a coach, consultant, or you're helping your client have a transformation, the key to creating transformation for people is they have to be in touch with your work daily. Okay, and that's why in my clubs we have a minimum of checking in 5 days a week, And a lot of people check in 6 and 7 days a week. So we create a culture that this is daily, right? So you're going to do 15 minutes or more, at least 5 days a week, and you're going to check into the club and report your progress. And so part of the things that make my club model successful is it's not on social media. It's a separate platform, because people go down the rabbit hole on social media, right? So we're trying to help people focus. So it's on a separate platform. Also, on the social media platforms, you as a service provider don't have control. The rules change. Your groups could disappear. So, terms of service change on you all the time. So this is a way to be more protective of your groups. So that kind of thing isn't happening. But also, by having it on a different platform, it automatically elevates the value of it, because a lot of people associate, like, there's lots of these free groups on social media sites, and so it's hard to put the high value price tag on it if it's going to be held on social media. So that's some of the reasons why I host my club in a different platform. We have the daily check-ins, because people need daily to have a transformation. They need to be working on your program daily. And then also to have engagement, we need to have people checking in daily. So part of the rules of the club, and like you said, Jean, it's like taken me years to get this formula together of a lot of testing and trying, is we have teams. Now, if I was working with an individual coach on what would be right for their groups, we might have, folks checking in a few days a week, or we might have groups of different sizes. So I do help people customize, but like the general program, it seems to work across the board, is teams of anywhere from 8 to 12 people, where everybody's checking in at least 5 days a week, and then every day you're checking in on 2 of your teammates, and you rotate. So you check on Bob and Sally on Monday, and you check on Judy and Joe on Tuesday. And that creates the engagement. But we have rules about it. So when people are buying the program, at every stage, we set the expectation of participation. So before people even buy the program, we're setting the expectation that you're checking in, and this is accountability, and you're signing up because you want this level of support. So we're creating the culture even before people buy into the program. Then when they're in the program and the orientation, they're getting that same message. We have an accountability contract that people sign. We have, if people aren't checking in, if by day 3 you haven't checked in, you're getting a notice from us, hey, you haven't checked in. If you miss too many, you're going to have another consequence of maybe not even be able to participate in the group. So, we set the expectation very high of participation, and some people might think, oh, that's harsh, or that's scary, or I don't want to tell my client that they can't be here. And it's not like that. We handle that with a lot of love and support, and Jean can attest to that. But if you don't have like participation guidelines that you uphold, then you're not creating the container for ongoing engagement and raising the bar for excellence for your people. You're helping hold them to the higher standard that you visualize for them and that they actually want to be held to. So they're paying you for that. They're paying for you to say, hey, check in. So all of that and a few other things that we do from a productivity and reward standpoint. We have a grid. People can see everybody checking in. They get the check marks. It's like the gold stars, and everyone wants to get their check mark for the day. Nobody wants to be the person that's not getting the check marks, right? So some of those built-in psychology things are also part of it. So there's a lot of different elements to the club side.
Well, sure, and you actually unpacked a whole bunch of really amazing tidbits into all of that, and I'm sure everyone's kind of like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. And this is what I want to say, is that I know that we have a lot of creatives inside of this community who sometimes have the same visceral response that I did initially, being like, I'm not checking in every day. I don't do anything every day.
Yeah.
And I think that it's one of these really fascinating places of this piece of becoming a leader of you and then applying it inside of a community of people who reinforce that behavior of saying, oh, what do you really want? And I think that this is really the important part of what, for me, coming into that kind of club and kind of circling back around to, getting my own stuff done. Because some of the people said the things that they're working on is, Lois has a loaded questions. Pick one. She's working on a card deck, writing a book and a journal, doing my to-do list, accounting, tech stuff. Like all those things land on the things that don't get done. We have weight loss. We have, all these kind of things, projects that are easy to procrastinate on pretty much. And I think that as we start to think about us as ourselves and then us as our business owner and who we serve, it's really this same common denominator, which is really inner work first. And this is what I always talk about inside of my clubs and everything else, is that we're going to work on here, because when we have it, we also attract the people who want what we have. And as creatives, sometimes we don't get our stuff done. And so then we go look for, well, what is the methodology that can help that? And then do we even want to bring that into our business? These are the deep questions we have inside of a creative business of how do we bring this transformation out there in a way that people really, really get it. Yeah. And, of course, I love games. A lot of people in our group are doing decks and games and journals and lots of very interactive things. I would love to talk about how we did that cool little morph, because we did an interactive club using a game as the basis for it in this same accountability thing. So can you speak a little bit to that? Because the thing you started out with is that you have to do this every day. So now we say, well, let's make that really, really fun.
Right. Yeah. Jean and I, we worked on a club program for almost a year. We were running that. And we took your angels, peacocks, and butterflies card game, of which the premise of that is you pull cards every day and you look at the prompts and check in with your intuition to help guide you on the next best step in your business or the messages that you get in your life. And so what we did was, so every day when people check in, there's a series of questions that people go through. We just tailored the questions to mirror your game. So we would say, what cards did you pull today? What were the messages? What was your response? What steps are you going to take to act on that today? So we can customize what people are checking in around to mirror your content. So that's what we did with your game. And what was really cool was because the game is set up as a daily game, and the club is set up as a daily check-in, and the two were going hand in hand, the cards were encouraging people to do the check-in, and the check-in was encouraging people to do the card. So both were reinforcing each other and actually raised that level of participation even another notch up. And it also created a common thread among the people, because everybody was playing the game, but they were coming up with different answers. So the foundation was the same, the game, but the cards, the intuitive hits, the what are people working on, was very individual to that person, and people really liked seeing what was happening for others. So that's part of the draw too, is really getting to see other people's journey. And that's in any of the clubs that I run with these teams, everybody's seeing everybody else's process, and there's a lot of learning that happens from team member to team member.
Right, and it becomes then almost deep level mastermind style, where people are getting, deeply inside of each other's worlds and supporting each other in very deep ways. That is, yeah. Well, and thank you for sharing all of that because it was an incredibly cool thing. Now, I'm not actually running that particular club anymore because I'm doing some other things. However, I really love that intersection because this was one of the things that you really brought into the clubs, which I love, which is this intuitive piece and the self-love piece and this one of your concepts, which you call the scientist of you.
Yes.
And it's inside of this daily practice of not just saying we're going to go show up and do 15 minutes of something every day, but it's saying what's really working, what's happening inside me, what am I learning inside of all of this, and how am I actually getting better.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that for a moment because Tony Robbins said you're only as good as your goals, meaning I didn't get that quote just right. I can't remember the exact words, but the essence is to achieve your goal, you have to become that person every single day. You're not that person today who is the person capable of achieving that goal, but you're working towards that every day. So there's two things that we do in the club. Every day, people have what we call a WIG, your wildly important goal, whatever that most important goal is. You're declaring your identity statement. Who are you? Who is the person that achieves that goal? And so we are writing the transformation that we want to have within ourselves. You know, if it's health, you know, I am a healthy person. I'm at my ideal weight. I have loads of energy. We write it in the present tense because even though we might not be totally all those things yet, we're putting it out there and we're embodying that, and that's going to help us make the best choices during the day. And you know, when we feel like procrastinating, that's going to remind us, nope, you know, got to keep going there. So that identity piece is really important. That's one of the things that's missing from typical, you know, achieve your goal type programs. Is they're really focused on the goal. They're not focused on the person who's achieving the goal. So that's one thing. And then the being the scientist of you part, one of the reasons that people don't achieve their goals or kind of fail or quit before they get there is they're not looking deeper as to the causes for what's going on for them when they're procrastinating or when they're struggling or things are getting in the way and competing for their time. They're just like, oh, I can't do it. I got to stop. But we say, no, stop, reflect, look deeper, and address what's going on at that level. And that's what helps people stay in the game. That's what helps people get over those hurdles of feeling like they're failing or they want to stop or things aren't working out. You know, it's no. Just like if you're a scientist and you're watching a mouse in the maze as the observer, step outside yourself and kind of look at yourself with just the curiosity that a scientist would have and say, oh, that's really interesting behavior. That's really interesting what's happening. I wonder why that is. Let me look at that. Without the feeling of, you know, I'm bad or I'm ashamed or I'm embarrassed or, you know, I can't do it. Like you remove all the subjective feelings and just look at yourself through an objective lens, which is a skill in and of itself to kind of separate those two. But it also teaches people not to get really down on themselves when things aren't quite working out, which helps them stick with it and get through those periods so they actually can achieve the goal.
Well, and I think that brings up kind of one of these other pieces, which is the love that's behind all of this. Like, I love what you have honed inside of how you communicate even. Like those are some of the skills inside of, and some of the magic inside of your clubs that is truly extraordinary. It has this underlying, you're a great person, you're brilliant, you're loved on the planet, you're worthy, and let's make all of these things happen too.
Thank you for that. I work really hard on that because that is where I come from. And in an online environment, when most of the coaching is coming through writing, and we also know like people can interpret different tones of voice with the words and the writing, especially if they're in a sensitive place, right, where they're like, you know, trying to give somebody really helpful feedback, but maybe they're just not in that place where they can really hear it without it being a little stab in the heart. But we've developed that relationship, not just coach to member, but among team members, where we can say, you know what, here's what you're doing great. Here's some ideas on what you can do better. But also we share, I get it. I've been in your shoes. So there's a lot of empathy. There's a lot of love. And but there's also a lot of honesty. Because if people aren't honest with you, then you're not going to have what you need in order to be successful or change. So we're also not afraid to really tell you what we see and how it is. And I think people find that refreshing, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I have a really great friend that we've bounced business ideas back over like 20 years. Like we've been doing that. And we realized at one point, well into our friendship, that we actually enabled each other quite a bit. We're like, oh no, you're okay, it's all right. So that that honesty piece, even within great friends, it's that piece of saying, oh no, let's look a little deeper here. And having that, it's like having that great friend who's also really saying, and we can probably do better.
Yeah. Oh, that brings up something around accountability I would love to talk about. So one of the reasons why I do these accountability teams of 8 to 12 people, and you have a coach running it, is when you typically have a peer-to-peer accountability partnership. You're really only as good as the weaker link, right? Like, let's say you're gym buddies, and one person's like, I'm not going to go today. The other person would be like, you know what? Yeah, me either. And it's really hard as friends to be like, you really got to get your A in the gym. So sometimes it's hard for peers to keep each other accountable. And what we've done in the club is we've taken that piece off the members. It's not your responsibility as a member to make sure another member is showing up. We do that.
Nice.
So that allows the members to be those supportive peers without being the, waving the finger, you didn't show up today, which, and we do that in a loving way, but like it just takes that out of the equation for people.
Yeah, no, and thank you for sharing that. That is the truth. You see, that is true. I know it's true because I don't want to be the bad guy, right? I don't want to be the bad guy. So you actually have two parts of your business. One part is actually running clubs that people can join that have all of these really cool things and let them get stuff done around business goals, around health goals, around writing goals, around creativity goals. Like there's lots of cool things going on in there. And one of that actually really attracted me in there as well is that we have this kind of wide variety of really interesting achievement happening. Like it's really cool. And you also help coaches and consultants set up their own groups. And so I want to spend a few minutes on that, and then I want to head back to the groups that you can join, because I know that you have some groups that are starting soon as well, and I want to make sure people know about those as well. So can you talk a little bit about the kind of clubs that you help coaches set up? Like what kind of product or service are they offering that you're helping them make this engaging, fabulous membership around?
Sure, that's a really good question. Yeah, so if we're putting our business hat on, what people need to understand is it's a business model. This club is a business model, and it can be the core and the heart of your business that everything else can run out of. And actually, if you do that, the club will help you sell your other products and services and kind of be a home base where all your clients can get the support that they need. It's also extremely scalable, because what I teach people is how you can leverage the part of the daily check-ins to somebody else who's doing the daily checking on your people. And if you want to stay more high level, you can still run your weekly or every other week coaching call, but you don't have to be the person checking in on every person every day, right? So You could have 10 people in your club. You could have 100 people or 500 people in your club. There's ways to scale it. That's one of the reasons that it was so attractive to me as a business model. So what I do is, first, it's very important, like just kind of like if you were buying McDonald's, right? You would want to eat a hamburger to kind of see, is this something I like? You'd walk into a restaurant, like, okay, is this working? So it's really important for someone who's thinking, I might like to do this as a business, to come in and kick the tires and see what it's like from the inside. So before I work with anybody in a much bigger way, we need to give you an experience so you can say, yeah, I like this, it's just for me, or no, you know what, I'm not really feeling this.
Yes, and I love that part of it, and I love that you really immerse people into it. You know, it's like it's like immersion program, right? We're going to go do something
Right.
and really make sure that it's aligned, and I love that.
Right. So that's the first part, is making sure that the model itself is something that resonates for you. It can work with almost any topic and any kind of client. Typically, we just tend to get a lot more women participants because, women like to be in community. But I also am interested in working with some like male coaches who have like male-based clientele, and we can create a group for them. But really, you could have any topic. So one of my clients right now is a voice teacher, and she is building an online voice club. And so we're taking the model of the daily check-ins and the worksheets and how we do it, and we're just like, we tailored it to your game. We're tailoring it to her content. So every week she's going to give her students, here are some vocal techniques I want you to work on. Every day they're going to say, I did my training today. Here's the feedback. So we're creating a business model for her that's actually going to help her get out of like the one-on-one voice lessons that she can only charge like $60 to $100 an hour. And now we're going to be creating a club concept where she has unlimited people she can serve in a more passive way at a higher price point than she could in just doing one-on-one lessons. And with COVID, what's happening is a lot of students who are getting ready to go to college for voice, who can't go to school and they're doing it online, they're thinking like, why should I pay $50,000 a year for a college degree in voice when I have to do it over Zoom anyway? So one of the things we're developing is a college alternative program for those people who can spend less money and get more one-on-one and club help. And because it's replacing a typical, 30 to 50,000 plus a year college degree program, we can put a very high ticket on it. We're looking at, $10 to $20, $25,000 a year for people to be part of this program that she's going to run online. So we can create very high level programs in this too. I also took a woman's $29 a month membership, which is content based. We took the content, put it in a club format, and we're charging $7,500 a year for it. So we immediately elevated what she was doing into a much higher price point because we could package it in a club container, if you will.
Yep.
So one of the things I'm excited about is being able to help the coach consultant take what they're doing and elevate it into higher ticket programs through a club.
And this is what I do love for this particular audience. The people who are in my world usually are either creating a card deck, a game, a book, some sort of interactive thing that typically is some sort of daily practice, or even in games, even if it were the game's function is for fun, when people play it more, it gets people immersed in whatever the transformation is that it causes, and the education that it causes, or the writing or journaling that it causes. Like, those things are so beautiful inside of a feedback loop, and I think that that's the other piece, is that it's that sacred witnessing of process. And I love that kind of sacred watcher. Like, what is the function? And so as someone who owns, your transformational business, as a coach, as someone doing that kind of work, when you become a sacred watcher for your people who want a transformation, it's extraordinary.
It's really, really special. Yeah, that we call it, well, we have like the sacred watcher, but we also have a part of the worksheet, which is called silent witness. And if somebody is in a tender place one day and they're like, look, they put on their worksheet, this was a terrible day, blah, 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 they can check the box like, be my silent witness. I really don't need feedback. I'm just showing up. Just hold the space for me to kind of come and like be how I am today, and don't try to rah, rah, rah me. And that's really powerful too. That also is an engagement tool, because one of the reasons that people don't check in is if they feel like it was a bad day and they don't want to report that, or they don't really want to get 5 points of feedback. They just want to be able to share. And so we created a safe space to do that. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. So we could talk for another hour about this. And I want to talk now about the participant size. And actually, if someone were interested in like, ooh, I want to dip my toe into this club thing and see if this would be good for the products I'm putting out there. So it's kind of the same answer. You're going to join a club. And
yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of clubs you have going right now, and a little bit about how they can find you and what you are offering right now?
Absolutely. So I always update the website right before registration of the next program. So shortly we'll be opening up enrollment for our 90-day, just like get it done. You're going to pick a goal. It could be any goal. A lot of folks actually who are our members are also coaches, consultants, because we coach and we like to be coached, and we like to experience this process. So pick a goal. It could be, we have folks that are organizing their homes. We have folks that are working on a creative project, a business project, making sales, whatever it is. You declare that goal, and in 90 days, we're going to support you on making as much progress as you can, but in a sustainable way, by like attacking it daily in smaller bites and developing those habits. There's a saying, walk and you'll get there faster. That's another tortoise type of saying. We're going to help you do that so that you end the year with a bang. Especially a lot of us, including me, feel like 2020 was just like this just crazy year, and we're not where we want to be in anything right now. It'd be really nice to kind of pick up the momentum for the end of the year so you can start next year fresh. So we've got a 90-day program coming up. And then I also have a business networking group, which is like another notch up. So everybody is choosing a business goal specifically, and we have a business sharing space where people can promote their products and services with each other. They can network with each other, do virtual coffees. We have business-oriented coaching calls on various topics. Jean was my expert yesterday. We talked about challenges as lead generators. We talk about how to get testimonials and email marketing and all of those kinds of things. So we also have like a training component. So that's something, the enrollment for that will be coming up in early October. And then my latest thing that I want to offer, I'm really excited about, is what I call the Conscious Health Club, which is health focused. And I'll be honest with you, because I'm an entrepreneur like most of you watching. I'll just be honest. I was really suffering from depression over the first half of this year. I lost somebody close to me. There was just this COVID and isolation, and I was just in this major slump, and I really let my health go. And so the fun thing is, it's like, you know what? I need a club to help me. So I'm like, okay, I need to create the health club because I need it. So I'm a participant as well as a leader in that club. And actually in July we got started, and in less than 2 months, I've lost 13 pounds. I've totally changed my sleep habits. My energy is much higher. My emotional outlook is much higher. So I've kind of been testing it on myself, if you will, and a few other people. And so we're actually going to be opening this program up for folks in October, November to finish out the year. But it's also going to be longer term program, 6 to 12 months for people to really get a handle on their health. Because the one thing, I really couldn't do my business the way I needed to because I wasn't feeling up to it. And I needed to get those other things in place before I could really jump back into other aspects of my business. So especially for entrepreneurs, it's so important. Yeah.
It's very true. So where can they find you?
Yeah, so a couple things. So if you go to my website, it's P as in Paul, W as in water, R as in Robert, 15.com. That's my main website. If you sign up for my productivity video that I have, my free giveaway there, you'll be on my email list. So you'll hear about the club announcements and the memberships. If you're interested on the business side, you're a coach, consultant, service provider, game creator, and you're thinking, oh, I'm interested in learning about this as a business model, you can sign up for the video, the productivity video, but also you'll want to click on the link that says coaches and collaborators. And there's a specific sign up there where that lets me know that you're somebody who's interested in more of that side of the equation, so I can reach out to you specifically for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And if someone wanted to, they're like, oh my God, this is me. If they wanted to contact you, they can find a space to contact you and maybe have a conversation. If they're like, yes, this is what I want to do, they can contact you on your website as well.
Yep, there's a contact page, and I welcome you to Facebook friend me, message me on Messenger. I connect with a lot of folks that way because I sometimes run online events where on topics like this to invite you to. So yeah, I'm very active on Facebook. I really enjoy it when people friend me and we connect that way too.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so I know that we could talk all day. Is there one last bit of wisdom that you would like to share with our viewers today?
I just think, especially so on the business side, it's really important to understand that your clients need things broken down into small bites, and they need to be in touch with that work daily. So a model that can support that, that's scalable, is really important to consider for your business if you really want to help your clients get results. So that's the other thing. What I say to people is information is temporary, but implementation is forever. And that's what the clients really need, is the implementation side. On the other side of, I'm a member, or I'm somebody struggling to get my own stuff done, and how can I be more productive? The key thing is two things. Extreme focus. We have one wildly important goal. That's the one thing we do every day. We can't do everything. At the same time, we have to prioritize. And then the key is just to break it down in little bites. Do something every day on that goal, even if it's for 5 minutes. You'll be amazed at how much you get done. And really, it's more important about building the habit of doing things daily as opposed to actually what you get done every day. If you show up daily, things will get done. So it's about building the habit of doing it daily.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that, and I love you. Thank you so much. You're doing amazing things in the world. Thank you for watching. If you are watching this later as a replay and you have questions, you can add them still in the feed, or you can simply reach out straight to Michelle or I with the questions that you have or any comments that you have that you would like to share with us. We'd love that as well. Thank you so much for joining us again, Michelle, and thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you next week on our Game On Expert interviews. Thank you.
Thank you.